How do you rate your own intelligence? Let's see how your IQ works with these reviews. Representing the winning party that voted yes to the UN resolution drafted by Jordan, calling for Israel's immediate humanitarian ceasefire.
The General Assembly prevailed and sent the appropriate message, not only to the Palestinian people, that there is justice and fairness and international humanitarian law upheld by the General Assembly, but also it sent a message to everyone: enough is enough. This war has to stop. The carnage against our people has to stop.
Does Ambassador Riyad Mansour include Hamas when he spoke? The carnage against our people has to stop. Let's hear how Israel reacted to this UN resolution.
This is not a war with the Palestinians. Israel is at war with the genocidal jihadist Hamas terror organization. Only. It is the law-abiding democracy of Israel against modern-day Nazis. These are the facts. Hamas do not care about the Palestinian people. They do not care about peace or dialogue. Hamas has only one goal: to annihilate Israel and murder every single Jew on the face of the earth. Do you not think it's unbelievable that this resolution here today and this session are not solely focused on Hamas's atrocities? When reading this resolution, Hamas seems to be missing in action. The drafters of the resolution claim to be concerned about peace, yet the depraved murderers who initiated this war are not even mentioned in the resolution, not even mentioned. They see each one of you as puppet. They write a resolution completely devoid of any content related to the situation. They assume that you have already forgotten who it is that is responsible for the inhumane violence, and they just expect you to support it automatically. This resolution is a disgrace to your intelligence.
You have seen how the Antisemites manipulated a resolution against Israel, right in the UN community. But Israel is determined to defend its right to exist, as one nation under God. Judging by the book, the Holy Bible, the majority of the council are guilty of justifying the wicked and condemning the just. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 15. Proverbs chapter 17 verse 15, he who justifies the wicked, and he who condemns the just, both of them alike are an abomination to the Lord. Other truths and facts that point to Hamas as the wicked party are flooding the social media as well as on every national television. Yet still, a lot of people throng in the streets to rally against Israel as the unjust party, condemning the Jews for allegedly inflicting carnage or genocide to the Palestinians living in Gaza. Protesters shout frantically, "Free, free Palestine," without checking first the veracity of the news feeds or reports coming from Gaza. Being misinformed or without knowledge of the truth at all, They agree and spread everything their organizers dictate him to say or do. This is awful and annoying to see among the educated and professionals. Here are some major truths and facts available online that must be and can be easily understood with an open mind. Yet others can hardly comprehend because of the disturbing ideology. This week's intriguing news. Who actually bombed Al-Ali hospital in Gaza? That provoked the Arab nations to hate Israel all the more.
The IDF has concluded an after-action review and confirmed that the Islamic Jihad was responsible for the strike at the Al-Hali Al-Ma'dani hospital in Gaza. According to our intelligence, Hamas checked the reports, understood it was an Islamic Jihad rocket that had misfired, and decided to launch a global media campaign to hide what really happened. They went as far as inflating the numbers of casualties. Many media outlets immediately reported the unverified claims by Hamas. Those were lies spread by Hamas. I want to make something clear. It is impossible to know what happened as quickly as Hamas claimed they knew. That should have been an initial warning sign for many. Instead of waiting for the examination of a credible information from the IDF, some media outlets ran with Hamas lies. Some of those headlines are still up, have not been corrected. I understand the desire to break news. But I hope you will all agree, the accuracy and credible information comes before speed.
In this regard, the New York Times published on October 23, 2023 its admission of delivering incorrect reports to clear IDF from the false accusation on the bombing incident. New York Times says, it was incorrect to rely on Hamas claims to wrongly blame Israel for Gaza hospital blast.
And this is how the Hamas is destroying Gaza by using their own people as a human shield.
With all these images shown, would you agree that Hamas really care for the safety of their own children or families?
I will now share concrete evidence of hostages. One from Nepal, one from Thailand, taken from Israel during the Hamas massacre on October 7th.
It's October 7th, 2023. Thousands of Hamas terrorists have invaded Israel, and amidst their massacre, they abduct over 200 innocent people from their homes and bring them into Gaza by brute force.
After ruthlessly massacring and taking people hostage, the terrorists fled to Shifa Hospital. They went to the hospital to hide.
The Shifa Hospital, located in Gaza City, is the biggest hospital in Gaza.
This is the main entrance of the hospital. This is at 10:55 a.m. They're entering another hostage. Gunmen are entering another hostage from those countries I mentioned into the vicinity. The terrorists are guarding the room. This is 7th of October, 10:55 a.m. The evidence I will share was sent by Israel to diplomatic channels to the countries of those civilians. Here you can see Hamas taking a hostage inside the vicinity. He doesn't look he even doesn't look need a treatment, but they're taking him inside the hospital. Hamas terrorists drove back from the massacre. This is an Israeli military jeep they brought into the hospital. I want to repeat it just to make everybody understand. They're bringing an Israeli jeep, a military jeep, into the hospital compound. A place terrorists should not enter. They're entering with a military jeep. This is 1050. One of the Toyotas that used Hamas in the 7th of October are bringing hostages into the hospital. We have found this Toyota, a different one, with all the gear, a Nukhbe Toyota hidden in a garage inside the hospital. She was ready to go to the 7th of October massacre, like other Toyotas going back into the hospital, using the hospital as a terror base. Another jeep, another Israeli vehicle, military vehicle, entering into the Shifa hospital, using the Shifa hospital as a human shield shelter to Hamas terrorists, bringing military equipment to the vicinity of the hospital. Today, I brought foreign media with me to into Gaza, to see the facts for themselves. Hamas has been systematically using hospitals in Gaza to run its terror machine. Hamas built tunnels underneath hospitals, used them to command their operations. Yes, command their operation underneath hospitals. Hamas wages war from hospitals. This is a sick nature of the savage terrorists we are fighting. Hamas is using the protected status of hospitals as a shield. Now that the irrefutable truth of Hamas's exploitation of hospitals in Gaza is in full display to the world, we have an important question to ask the international community. What will you do to stop Gazans' hospitals from being turned into terror bases in the future? Will you condemn Hamas? Or will you continue to be silent? Will you remain silent? I want to make it very clear. Israel is at war with Hamas. We are not at war with the people of Gaza.
البعض يتساءل، وهذا سؤال رائج وشائع، يعني من قام بتشييد 500 كيلومتر من الأنفاق، لماذا لم يشيد مآوي يلجأ إليها المدنيون خلال القصف؟
نحن شيدنا الأنفاق لأنه لا نملك ما ندفع به عن أنفسنا من القتل والاستهداف. هذه الأنفاق من أجل أن نحمي أنفسنا من الطائرات، نحمي مقاتلين من الأنفاق. أما القطاع غزة فأنت تعلم والجميع يعلم بأنه 75% منه لاجئين، واللاجئين هو مسؤولية الأمم المتحدة في حمايتهم، مسؤولية الاحتلال في أن يقدم كل تبعا لاتفاقية جنيف الدولية أن يقدم لهم كل الخدمات وهم تحت الاحتلال.
After hearing Abu Marzouk in this interview, are you now convinced that the 500 kilometers tunnel network was actually made, not for the Gazan civilians, but for the protection of Hamas fighters from Israel's airstrike?
Israel is doing everything in its power to prevent harm to innocent civilians in Gaza and is acting according to international humanitarian law. Israel has been notifying all Gazans to evacuate to southern Gaza to a safe place with 70,000 phone calls, 14 million voice messages, and 7 million leaflets outlining evacuation plans. Hamas is violently denying its people passage by blocking roads and shooting at them. You be the judge. Israel has opened escape routes for the population and is ensuring the safety of Gaza's residents while Hamas fires upon them. You be the judge. Israel has been facilitating the delivery of humanitarian aid to southern Gaza, but the vicious Hamas raids the assistance and even shoots the people in need of the aid. You be the judge. It's time to judge those who are genuinely responsible for what's happening in Gaza, the cruel terror organization Hamas. You be the judge.
Now, the pressure is mounting on UNRWA, the UN agency responsible for Palestinians in Gaza. UNRWA chief Philippe Lazzarini says he and his staff had no idea that Hamas had a key operating centre right under its headquarters in Gaza. Israel has already provided evidence to show at least 12 UNRWA staff members took part in the October 7 attacks, while at least 1,200 of them are affiliated with either Hamas or Palestinian Jihad. Over a dozen countries have cut funding to the organisation. Well, with me in the studio, Hillel Neuer is the Executive Director at United Nations Watch.
We've been sending warnings to the United Nations Secretary General, to UNRWA, since August 2015. And the first time we did this, we were attacked by the spokesman for many years. His name was Chris Gunnis. He's actually been pulled back out of retirement and is acting as a surrogate. And just the other day, he attacked me again. I had posted on Twitter that I'm going to make an announcement about something to do with UNRWA, and he kind of had an online meltdown, and he said, journalists, don't listen to him. UN Watch is a terrible organization. They're going to be saying things dictated to them by Israel and the IDF, which is false and defamatory. And this was our experience for 10 years when we tried to warn the UN that in their UNRWA schools, they had thousands, we estimated thousands of supporters of terrorism. They attacked us. That was the UN response. UNRWA did not know what was beneath its headquarters in Gaza. So how are we supposed to know what's right below our nose? You know, I mean, how are we supposed to know what's right under our nose? We have no clue. I mean, it's absurd. We saw a very sophisticated tunnel that was built right under their headquarters with electrical cables powering the Hamas intelligence server center that were coming out of the UNRWA electricity grid. So certainly people checking the electric bill would have known. Everybody knew. In fact, a number of years ago, it was reported in one of the major newspapers, the UNRWA staff saw that a parking lot, this was in the Wall Street Journal last week, an entire parking lot had begun to sink in the UNRWA compound, and no one wanted to ask any questions. When everyone knows that Hamas is building tunnels everywhere, so of course they knew.
Well, of course, they might not be taking it seriously, but major donors are taking it seriously. We've seen over a dozen countries cut funding to the group. Is that cut in funding hindering its operations?
I don't think it's yet hindered the operations. We welcome the fact that maybe $500 million in theory was suspended, but the truth is that all of these donor countries are supporters of UNRWA and are still covering for them. A number of countries, it is said that the US rushed money out the door before they announced the suspension. So I don't think it's actually really affected them, but UNRWA loves to say, we're dying, we're starving, we have no money. I don't think that's the case. And sadly, I think that many of the donor countries are keen to restart funding right away. These 2 inquiries that have been set up are performative. They're not serious. They're not really independent. The head of one of the inquiries is the former French foreign minister, who on January 14th tweeted a message out to Mr. Lazzarini, the head of UNRWA, saying, you're doing great work, never been needed more than ever. She's going to give an independent analysis. 3 Scandinavian groups, each of them has anti-Israel material on their website. One of them from Denmark has said that any criticism of UNRWA is an attack on UNRWA. So this is fixed. It's a kangaroo court, not real inquiries, and it's just so that the donor states will say, the inquiry did their work, they recommended some changes. Instead of Bill being in charge of vetting, now they put in Frank. Everything is fixed, we restart the money. That's where this is going, and we've announced an international summit on the future beyond UNRWA.
There is clear evidence, it's not even close to not being clear evidence that the headquarters sitting above a huge intelligence center of the Hamas, it is absolutely impossible not to know that they're there, and it's screaming out why those Western role players are closing their eyes and refusing to see the truth. It's almost unbearable, because this terror organization, if I may just put this on the table, Hamas and other religiously based terror organizations, their main goal is religiously based. It's not land-based. It's not in the Gaza Strip. It's not in the West Bank. It's ideological, and it's worldwide. So it also means creating an Islamic caliphate in the United States, in Europe, in Canada, in Australia, throughout the world, including in Egypt, where the Muslim Brotherhood was active, and therefore Egypt also sees the Hamas as a threat. So this is not something that is land-based or border-oriented. This is something beyond.
October 26, 2023, BBC News interview. This is the moment when Hamas spokesperson and a key leader in political bureau abruptly ended an interview with a BBC Middle East correspondent. Watch closely how Dr. Ghazi Hamad suddenly cut off interview by Hugo Bachega when asked about Hamas' justification of killing innocent Israeli civilians on October 7, 2023.
There was no command to kill any civilian.
You say this was a military operation, but the result of it was that hundreds of civilians were killed.
Because the area is very wide, and there are many people there, and there was clashes and confrontation.
It's not confrontation. You invaded houses.
Details what happened inside, but I can tell you that we didn't have any intention or decision to kill the civilians.
How do you justify killing people? as they sleep, families. How do you justify
I want to stop this. I want to stop this.
You have just seen how a top official of Hamas political party had a hard time to think and answer Mr. Hugo's simple question of, how can Hamas justify the killing of civilians on October 7th? Instead of responding quickly, he suddenly stops the interview and walks out frantically.
How do you justify killing people as they sleep, families? How do you justify killing hundreds
I
of
want
people
to stop this. I want to stop this.
If this is how every Hamas leader and follower thinks, what do you think Israel would do or must do to assert her rights to exist? Therefore, rallying around in support of this genocidal terrorist Islamists is a big question of morality and a defining test of our human intelligence. After careful and thorough examination of these reviews, are you still convinced to take the side of the wicked party, Hamas, and join the bigoted, narrow-minded community of anti-Semites all over the world? It's your choice. It's your IQ score. Think big. Not bigotedly. Watch out for more intelligent reviews. Learn deeper about the intolerant, anti-Semitic ideology and spirituality behind Hamas and other Islamist organizations.
We cannot defeat it if we don't defeat its ideology. Let's say if we don't fight the ideology, they're going to keep coming.
Hear from the author of Son of Hamas himself, Mosab Hassan Yousef, the Green Prince of Israel's Shin Bet intelligence, and a son of one of the founders of Hamas. Be wise, and become truly intelligent after listening to Mosab Hassan Yousef's first-hand revelation on Hamas ideology and his own personal testimony.